Alright, I wanted to come over here this afternoon and run combines, charge batteries up, because I haven't been running in a minute. I figured I'd bring the camera and get this so that everybody stop asking me questions about it, because that's getting a little out of hand. Yes, the white's still here. I'm gonna get everything running here and we'll talk about it in a minute, but hopefully it starts, because when I brought it over here and parked it a couple months ago, the batteries were kind of weak. They're almost new. Well, not almost new. They've been in since I bought it, but so they're 4 years old. I had this thing. Holy shit! I think I've had this thing 4 years. No, 3 years. Not quite 3 years. I don't know. Time flies. Yeah, they're not actually that old, but they've also been through 2 junk alternators, so they might have got roached from that. I don't know, but hopefully she starts. We'll see here in a second. Oh, she's cranking a little slow, but I think she'll go. Come on. Oh yeah, she'll go. One of the nicest things about a 3208 cat, no matter how cold it is, if they'll crank, they'll start. So we'll talk about that in a minute. That head's new too. I just bought that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's get everything running here. I'll have to step outside because it's obviously going to get too damn loud. Come on, girl. I know you want to. Oh yeah. This one ain't been started in, I don't know, since I got done cutting beans, and I got done cutting beans a lot sooner than I got done shelling corn. She likes to run for like 30 seconds and stall out if you don't babysit it for a minute when she's cold. And normally once you get it to hold a little higher RPM, because the governors on these things are kind of goofy, they're kind of on or off, but is she gonna stay running? Yeah, might have to leave the choke out a little bit. You almost got to start this thing first because it's the quietest thing in the barn, and if you start everything else and this thing dies, you'll never know about it because you can't hear it over everything else. Especially the 7300. You start that thing up, that Perkins is loud. Even with the muffler on it. I think she'll be fine right there. Oh. Of course, that 3208's loud too. Cold-blooded Perkins things. Hey guys, let's make a motor that doesn't like starting cold, then we're not going to give it any sort of manifold heater. I used to not eat through it, but you got to crank it so much this is easier. But once she's starting, she'll stay running. Or once she started, she'll stay running. Well, that went better than expected. I figured I'd walk over here to at least one dead battery. It's been at least 2 months since I started anything. Alright. Unfortunately, gonna have to stand out here because it's gonna be too damn loud to talk in there, but so the white, I've had the motor out of that twice. Not because of the motor. The first time I pulled it was because the clutch was slipping so bad it wouldn't hardly get out of its own way. Got the clutch done. And a few other odds and ends and put it back together. And then started chisel plow. That was 2 summers ago because I tore it apart. Not last 4th of July, the 4th of July before last, I tore it apart over that week and fixed it. Did the clutch, put a rear main seal in it. Trying to remember what all I did. I don't know, I can't remember now, but the clutch was the main thing for the first time I pulled the motor. Did that, put it all back together, started chisel plowing with it that fall. Ran about 20 acres that started blowing oil. I mean, like, oil was just running out of the dipstick tube on the 3-speed. Alright, so I pulled the motor back out. And, turns out, the seals in the back of the 3-speed, I had nicked one when I put the live shaft back in for the PTO, and it was pumping oil from the front differential into the 3-speed and overfilling it, which is kind of a blessing in disguise because while we pulled it out to replace them seals, I just went through and rebuilt the whole 3-speed, and the 3-speed on this thing was fucked. I honestly don't know how it was working. The sprag clutch came out in pieces. The cage had broke into like 4 or 5 pieces. All the wishbones came out, or all the dog bones fell out of it. And the sprag was junk. All the thrust washers in it were junk from eating parts of the sprag clutch. I had to replace two big bearings in it. Yeah, so I had to had to replace the input shaft on the 3-speed because the clutch pack had ate into it, and there was grooves in the splines where the clutch discs were riding, so I had to replace the input shaft on the 3-speed. And yeah, ended up dumping like $3,200 or something like that into that 3-speed. A lot of it was that input shaft. That was $700 to buy. But she's good now. I ran it hard this last year because I finished chisel plowing with it, pulled the soil finisher with it, and then this summer I ripped 20 acres with it. And then this fall I ripped another 12. I know I ripped more than that. What was the other field I ripped? Or did I just rip that one? I might have just ripped that one. I thought I did more, but I ripped at least another 12 acres this fall with it, and that was a hard 12 acres, I tell you what. It took me 3 days of running to do that. Mostly because I'd start in the morning, rip for 2-3 hours while the dew was burning off, then quit and go combine. But still, it was second gear direct drive, and that was all she wanted on 5 shanks. And there was one point, I didn't know you could do this with a 4-wheel drive, but there was one point I was ripping a hard pan on a hill, and it was drafting so hard that the front end actually had one tire up off the ground. I was pulling that hard with it. That was a little sketchy. That'll give you a weird feeling in the seat of your pants, but a four-wheel drive will do that. But I ain't gonna walk all the way out there, but I pull that with it now. It's a 24-foot Glencoe finisher and a 26-foot Kilbros RFF 12 crumbler. It pulls it all right. It'd be nice to have about another 50 horse in front of it, frankly, but she'll hold her own. I can still manage it in third gear direct most of the time. And then that grain table that's sitting in front of the 7300, I just bought that this fall. That's an actual 13-foot white flex head. It's not an add-on aftermarket job like a Love Bar or a Hennick or anything. That's a actual white flex head for it. That was a little bit of experience. I had to buy a whole combine just to get that head. Now, if the combine had been a diesel, it'd be here. But it was a 81 white 7300, immaculate shape, local combine. Like I say, if it was a diesel and I had a place to put it, it'd still be here. But it was a gas, had a 318 Chrysler in it, and I don't have a place to put it. But you'll still probably see it at some point, because I sold it to a buddy of mine that wanted an old combine, and we'd kind of like to run his and mine in the same field at some point, just because they're the twins. You got both of them. You got a white 7300 and Oliver 7300. But yeah, that was an experience because it was sitting in a barn, hadn't been run for 5 years. The throwout arm for the clutch was frozen in the bell housing, so I had to pull it home with the white. Took me 2 weekends to get the damn thing running because I had to replace the fuel pump because that was gummed up. Had to blow out all the fuel lines. Had to have the starter rebuilt because we wiped the starter out in it after trying to start it like 5 times because the bushings were dry. Got the starter rebuilt, put the starter on it. Finally got the thing running and starting reliably. Went back the next weekend to bring it home. Got it out of the barn and the Bendix flew apart on the starter, and the Bendix was brand new. So had to pull it over to my buddy's shop, not running, just took the white over there in a tow bar and drug it. Luckily it steered decent, dead. And I pulled the starter apart, put the starter back together, which pissed me off because it was rebuilt, had 150 bucks in the rebuild. And then, yeah, it's running and driving and doing good now. Well, like I say, you'll probably see it because it belongs to a buddy of mine now. But gave $1,000 for the combine and both heads. Unfortunately, the corn head was a wide row, so it's pretty much useless this day and age. But paid $1,000 for all 3 pieces. Kept the grain table and turned around and sold him the combine and the corn head for $800. So I don't think I did too bad for $200 in a 13-foot flex head. And you might see that combine in person because he bought it with the wide row head because he wants to take it to Rand Tool. So it might go to Rand Tool next year. We'll see. And then the other thing everybody been asking about, there's the 543 planter. No, I have not messed with it. No, it does not even make the list. No, it is not going anywhere. I'm still going to fix it at some point, but it's not top priority. Biggest thing is I saved it from going to scrap. That was the biggest reason I wanted to get it, was because I knew if I didn't buy it, it was going to scrap. Because who the fuck wants an 8-row wide end toe plate planter? Especially one as rough as that. That one's rough. But the goal is to buy a 6-row white 5100 so I can upgrade to an air planter over the 540. With any luck, this will be the last year I run the 4-row. So, but yeah, you wouldn't believe the shit I took when I bought that planter. There was a whole fucking forum, or a whole fucking topic on New Ag Talk over that planter and how ridiculous it was that I bought it and was going to try to use it. I'm sorry, guys. I farm 100 fucking acres. I'm not gonna go out and buy a fucking $75,000 John Deere DB120 and plant 50 acres of corn with it. Actually, it's probably more than that for a brand new Deere or a Kinsey or whatever. I farm with junk because it's cheap, and I only farm 100 acres. It should kill me. So yeah. Oh, I guess there is one other new thing in here. We did finally put a fertilizer wagon together. Ended up buying a J&M gear. So yeah, got a fertilizer wagon now, and I put a tarp on it too. Because the first year I ran it, it didn't have a tarp, and I was just putting a regular old blue tarp over it. No, did that one time and that was enough, so I broke down and bought a roll tarp for it. Should have done that a long time ago. That is so much nicer than using bags or shoveling. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for over here. Not a whole lot new. I'm gonna let these girls run for a little while, and then I gotta go home and do some other stuff and probably put this video up yet tonight. So and I guess since this is YouTube and I got a little bit of an audience, take note of this. I don't know if I got anybody watching me from around Caledonia, Minnesota, but I was wondering what the odds are if that dealer's still around. I was just kind of curious. Not that they could tell me anything about it, but you never know. Some of them older dealers keep records. I might be able to call them and say, hey, I got a white 4150, serial number such and such. You got the bill of sale for it? You never know. It'd be kind of neat. Figure out how the hell I got from Michigan to Minnesota, or to Michigan from Minnesota. So, anyhow, I guess that's it for this one. We'll catch y'all on the next one.